Hi guys, okay, this is November 2020, paper 1HR, so just be careful you've got the right paper, guys. It's not just normal paper 1. This is the formula sheet, and we start off with this question. So we're multiplying fractions. Definitely, guys, if we're multiplying mixed numbers, turn the mixed number into an improper fraction. So 4 times 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15. So this gives us 15 over 4. Times 7 over 9. 15 times 7, you can do that on your calculator. It is 105. 4 times 9, you can do that on your calculator if you need to. It's 36. And then we go, right, how many 36s in 105? Well, there's 2. There are 2. And what's left? Well, 2 times 36 is 72, which means there's 33 left. So it's 2 and the 33 over 36. And yes, put in this step, guys, which is 2 and divide above and below by 3. I get 11 over 12, which is what he asked me to show. So we're done. Okay, question 2. Using a ruler and compasses, construct the bisector of the angle ABC. Okay, so we're going to bisect this angle. The way we do it, guys, again, I don't have the ability to show you how to use our set of compasses here, but you could put the point, you get a set of compasses and make it a length less than this length, but let's just say that length. So you put the pointy bit here, and then you keep it the same length, so like you draw a circle, and you draw a circle, but you make sure that the circle crosses this line, and the same circle would cross this line. And if you kept drawing, you could draw a full circle. And then once you have these 2 points, where this arc touches this line becomes your new pointy bit, if you like. So you put the pointy bit here, keep the set of compasses the same size, and you're going to draw another circle from here, and it'll be something like, I don't know, something like that. And then this guy will have a same thing, put the pointy bit here, and now you'll have another arc, something like that. And where they meet here, this is the point that you join to this point. So this is my angle bisector, and what bisector means is it's cut it in half. So that's exactly half. It's poorly drawn, but it is half. There. Okay, question 3. Simplify h to the power of 7 times h squared, add the powers, and we get h to the power of 9. Okay, g is equal to this, find the value of g when c equals -5. Just be careful, guys, right? G equals -5 squared, always use brackets, minus 4 times -5. Be careful, you're going to have a negative times a negative. Minus 5 for -5 squared is 25. Minus 4 times -5 is actually going to be plus 20, because 4 times 5 is 20. Minus times minus is plus, and we're left with 45. You could just sub this into the calculator correctly, and you'll get 45. Solve this. Show clear algebraic working. Okay. First step, I think, is the best thing to do, actually, I know, is to multiply both sides by 4. If you multiply by 4, you remove this, and you get 4 times, don't forget your bracket, 2x plus 3. Then multiply out the bracket. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times 3 is 12. Then get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other side. I think best thing to do is get the x's on the right, so it's 8x minus 5x, and the numbers on the left. So I'm going to subtract the 12. Subtract the 5x over here, subtract the 12 over there. I get -15 equals 5x. Divide by 5. Divide by 3, sorry, that's wrong. What am I doing? 3x. 8x minus 5x is 3x. Divide by 3, and we get -5. So x is equal to -5. Okay, Question 4. Write down the modal class interval. So the modal is related to the mode, which is the most frequent, which is the biggest, highest frequency. Well, it's this one, because it's 25. Frequency is the biggest one of these. So it's not 25 here, guys. It is this. It's the class, which is 30 less than t less than or equal to 40. Work out an estimate for the mean length of time taken by these 60 students to travel to school on Monday. Okay, guys, we need to use the midpoint. So you may have seen me do this before. I do a new column and I call it midpoint, or m.p. midpoint. The midpoint of 0 and 10 is 5. Midpoint of 10 and 20 is 15, 25, 35, 45. Then I do this times this. So actually, guys, I might even just call it m for midpoint, because now I can call this m times f. So this is this times this. So 5 times 4 is 20. 10 times 15, 150. 15 times 25, right at this point, I need help. 15 times 25, 375. 375. 25 times 35. 25 times 35 is 875. 875. And 6 times 45, I can do that one in my head, it's 270. Okay, now we add all these up. So we say the mean is approximately equal to, not equal to, so I'll put that sign, although you won't lose a mark if you put equal, is approximately equal to 20 plus 150. I'm going to add all these, plus 375 plus 875 plus 270, all over the total number of students, which is 60. So I divide by 60. And this equals, right, let's add all these up. 20 plus 150 plus 375 plus 875 plus 270 is 1690. So 1690 over 60, which is equal to 1690 divided by 60 divided by 60 is 169 over 6, or 28.166, and he says 1 decimal place. So I'm going to write down 28.166, 28.166, and to 1 decimal place is 28.2. So this is 28.2. Okay, question 5. In 2017, the population of a village was this. 2019, it was this. Work out the percentage increase in the population from this to this. Okay, what was the increase? 8265 minus 7,500. Use a calculator if you want. It is 765. That's the increase. To get the percentage increase, I get the increase, 765. I divide by the original population, and I times by 100. And this should give me the percentage increase. So it's 765 divided by 7,500 times 100, which is 10.2. So it's 10.2%. That's the increase. 10.2. Okay, in a sale, normal prices are reduced by 30%. The sale price of a t-shirt was 31 21.50 euros. Work out the normal price, right? This is, guys, one of those tricky ones. It's reverse percentages. Actually, if the prices were reduced by 30%, what we did is we got our 31. Well, two ways to do it. I like to sometimes say, if it was reduced by 30%, this is actually 70%, because we subtract 30 from 100 and we get 70%. 70% equals 31.50. Then I'm going to try and get 100%. So I can get 1%. You could get 10% if you wanted, but 1% I divide by 70. And then 100% I multiply by 100. So it's going to be this times 100, which is 31.50 divided by 70 times 100 is exactly 45. So it's 45 euros. 45 euros. Okay, the other method, guys, is to go, well, x times 0.7 equals 31.50. And you go, okay, that was the original. I multiplied it by 0.7 because I wanted to get 70%, but like here, what was x? And I have to kind of go backwards, so I have to go 31.50 divided by 0.7, which is, well, let's do it, 31.50 divided by 0.7 equals 45. So this is kind of the quicker, arguably easier way to do it, but it's also arguably a bit more difficult to understand because I have to bring in an x. Okay, that is question 5. Question 6. Point A is this, point B is this. The midpoint of AB has coordinates this. Find the value of A and the value of B, right? That sounds a little bit confusing. I'm actually going to draw here the points. So A is minus 3, 11. This is A. And B is 47. B. And the midpoint, so I'm going to join these together. The midpoint, which is, let's say, here, has coordinates A minus 19. And it says work out the value of A and the value of B. So this is a midpoint question, guys, but it's just slightly more difficult because of the way they've kind of arranged it. So the midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. That's the midpoint formula. Our points, let's say, are x1, y1, x2, y2. So our x1 is negative 3 plus x2 is plus 47 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2, so that's 11 plus b over 2. And this has to equal, because this is the midpoint between A and B using the formula. This has to equal A, comma, minus 19, because it tells us this is the midpoint. So that means this is A. Hang on, let me just do this. So this is A, and this has to equal negative 19. So A is easier. Minus 3 plus 47 over 2 equals A. You can use your calculator here, guys. Minus 3, that would give me 44 divided by 2 is 22. So A is equal to 22. And then the B one, slightly more tricky. I can say 11 plus B over 2 11 plus b over 2 equals negative 19. And then I have to solve this equation, multiply by 2. So 11 plus b equals 2 times negative 19 is negative 38. And then b is negative 38 minus 11, which is negative 49. So I'm left with a is 22 and b is negative 49. Okay, not an easy question. Question 7. Pedro drove from Toulouse to Montpellier in 2 hours 42 minutes. He drove at an average speed of 90 kilometers per hour. Janine drove from Toulouse to Montpellier along with the same route as Pedro. The journey took her 3 hours. Work out Janine's average speed for the journey. Okay, hang on. She drove from Toulouse to Montpellier and it took her 3 hours. Okay, so we need to use Pedro's one essentially to find the distance. So if we can find the distance here, then we can find the speed here. Okay, so if you remember our distance, speed, time triangle, distance is speed times time. So the distance is equal to speed, 90, times time, which is 2 hours and 42 minutes. Now, I want to turn the 42 minutes into hours. So the way I do it is I divide by 60 because there's 60 minutes in an hour. So 42 over 60, let's do that on our calculator. 42 divided by 60 is 7 over 10 or 0.7. So this is 0.7. So the time is actually 2.7 because it's 2 hours and 42 minutes, which we now know is 0.7 of an hour. So the distance is 90 times 2.7, 90 times, I'll just do times 90, which is 63. So the distance is 63. Now for Janine, let's do Janine speed. To find the speed, we do distance divided by time. So the speed is distance, 63, over time, which is 63 over the time. Hang on, guys, why have I said it's 63? That makes no sense. 90 times, oh, because I did 0.7. Okay, that's my mistake. 90 times, well done if you spotted it. 2.7 is 243. Okay, let's erase this. 243. 243. So this is 243. And this is 243. Divided by, so speed is distance over time. The time is 3. So it's 243 divided by 3. I can actually do that in my head, guys. It is 81. Use your calculator if you're stuck. 81 kilometers per hour. Okay, question 8. Harold bought an antique clock for £1,200. The clock increased by 8% per year. Find the value of the clock exactly 3 years after Harold bought the clock. Right, guys, I like these questions. You just do 1,200 times 1.08. That will increase it by 8%. But we're doing it for 3 years, so I do to the power of 3 because I'm going to multiply by 1.08 3 times. And that gives me 1,200 times 1.08 to the power of 3, which is 1511.65. 1511.65. But for the final mark, guys, he says give your answer to the nearest pound. That means I have to go to the last pound, round it up, because that's a 6, and I get 1512. Okay, question 9. A box is put on a horizontal table. The face of the box in contact with the table is a square of side 1.5 meters. The pressure on the table due to the box is that. Work out the force exerted by the box. Okay, so guys, they nicely give us the formula. Pressure is force divided by area. Remember, the smaller the area, the higher the pressure, like putting a pin into your, a needle into your arm. It's a very small area, which is why it applies a lot of pressure. Now, we know the pressure. The pressure is this, 34.8. What we don't know is the area, but it says the face of the box in contact with the table is a square of side 1.5 meters. So let's actually draw that. Okay, the square, this is touching the table, so the box is on the table. It has a side of 1.5 meters and 1.5 meters. Now we want to find the area because that's what's in the formula. The area is then 1.5 squared, or 1.5 times 1.5. 1.5 squared is 2.25. Now I know the area. So I have the pressure and I have the area. So I can say 34.8, which is the pressure, equals F for force, I don't know what it is, but that's what I'm trying to find out, over the area 2.25. And now I just have to find the force by multiplying by 2.25. So it's 34.8 times 2.25. Okay, let's do that. 34.8 times 2.25, which is 78.3. 78.3. Okay. Question 10. Alex makes 80 cakes to sell. He makes chocolate cakes, lemon cakes, and fruit cakes, and the ratio is 3 to 2 to 5. Alex sells all of the chocolate cakes, 3/4 of the lemon cakes, 7/8 of the fruit cakes. The profit he makes on each cake is shown here. Work out the total profit he makes. Okay, obviously a lot of different things going on. The first thing to do definitely is to figure out the number of cakes in this ratio. So we're going to do, and I'll just do my working up here, guys, but you do it down here. 3 plus 2 plus 5 is 10. Then we do 80 divided by 10, which is 8. And then we do 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. 2 times 8 is 16. And 5 times 8, let me just move this here. We then do 5 times 8 is 40. So that means he has this many chocolate cakes, this many lemon cakes, and this many fruit cakes. He sells all of the chocolate cakes. So let's say chocolate, he sells all of them. All of 24 is 24. He sells 3/4 of the lemon cake, so 3/4 of these, which is 12. That's because 3/4 of 16 equals 12. And he does 7/8 of 40 divided by 8, 5 multiplied by 7 is 35. So that's how many fruitcakes he sells. And he makes this much profit per cake for each different flavor. So to find the total profit, I just need to multiply. I just need to do 24 times 2. 24 times 2, because he gets £2 for each chocolate cake, plus 12 times 1.7, plus 35 times 2.4. And this gives me 24 times 2 plus 12 times 1.7 plus 35 times 2.4, which is 152.4. 152.4 down here, £152.40p. Okay, question 11. Frequency table. 80 people on the train. And this is their age. Okay, cumulative frequency. So the cumulative frequency is we just add them up, because between 0 and 20 is 9, same as this. But between 0 and 30 will be the 9 and the 19. So it's 28. And then this between 0 and 40 will be the 28 plus this 17, which is 45. Sorry, that's wrong. Hang on, 28. Yeah, that's right. What am I doing? 45 is correct. Then 45 plus 18 is 63. Plus 13 is 76. And then plus 4 is 80. Okay. He then says, use this information to draw a cumulative frequency graph. And he gives me the graph down here. Okay. Now, the first point is going to be at 29. Okay, so we draw a point at the end of the class, which is 20, and this cumulative frequency is 9. So I go to 20 here and 9 here, and I put in a dot. Then I go 30, 28, 30, 28 here. Then I do 40, 45. This is again from my table, guys, I just remembered. 50, 63, 50, 63, 60, 76, 60, 76, and then 70, 80. And he wants me to draw the graph, so I have to join them all up, and I have to also start from 0, 0. So I start here. Again, guys, I apologize that my graphs are always terribly done. I have to do that again. Yeah, that's pretty bad, guys. I'll have to do that again. Okay, so they shouldn't be straight lines. Let me try and just draw it like this. They should not be straight line. It is a curve, like that. Then like this, but it should definitely go through those points. Definitely, guys. Draw it better than me, right? That's as good as I can do for now. But draw it as accurately as possible, because then when they ask me this, use your graph to find an estimate for the median age of the people, I will, how well my graph has been drawn is going to affect this a lot. So, there's 80 people, so I have 80 to give me 40. Then I cross 40 and I go down, and that's actually going to give me 37. Now the range it accepts is anything from 35 to 38. So I guess I got lucky that my graph worked out here, but if you don't draw it properly, you could get caught. So the median is 37. Okay, question 12. Simultaneous equations, you have to show your working, guys, so you can't just use your calculator, although your calculator will let you know if you're right. So what do? Well, I need to make the x's the same or the y's the same. I think make the y's the same, and the way to do it is multiply the top one by 5 and the bottom one by 2. If I do that, I'll get 10y here and 10y there, hence they're the same. But I gotta multiply everything by 5. So 7 times 5 is 35x. This is my 10y. And then 5.5 times 5, let's just do that. 5.5 times 5 is 27.5. Okay, 27.5. Now multiply the bottom by 2. And again, everything by 2. So it's 6x minus 10y equals 17 times 2 is 34. Okay, then I decide, do I add or subtract? Well, I add because these signs are different, and that will get rid of the y's. 35 plus 6 is 41, so it's 41x. The y's disappear, equals 27.5 plus 34. 27.5 plus 34 is 61.5. So this is 61.5. And then x is going to be 61.5 divided by 41, which is 3/2, or 1.5. Okay, so that's my x. Once I have my x, I can use any equation essentially to get my y. I think I will use well, let's just use the first one. So I have 7x, well, let's write it out. 7x plus 2y equals 5.5. I'm going to sub this 1.5 in to this equation instead of x. So 1.5 instead of x plus 2y equals 5.5. 7 times 1.5 is 10.5. 2y equals, now I subtract the 10.5, so 5.5 minus 10.5 is -5. So y is equal to -5/2, or -2.5. So my x is 1.5 and my y is -2.5. Okay, question 13. Here's a curve. Find dy dx. Okay, dy dx. This is the derivative. So we multiply by the power. We do 3 times 5. Easy. 3 times 5 is 15. Guys, calculus is considered one of the difficult topics, but actually I just don't agree with that. Especially like this first part is not that difficult. You do 3 times 5 is 15. X squared minus 2 times 1 is 2, so this becomes 2x. Subtract 1 from the power, and sorry if I didn't say it, guys, we multiply by the power and subtract 1 from the power. Multiply by the power, subtract 1 from the power, and minus 6x just becomes 6, because if you subtract 1 from 1 you get 0, so and x to the power of 0 is 1. And then the 4 just disappears because it's like x to the 0, so you're multiplying by 0. So this is the derivative. 15x squared minus 2x minus 6. 15x squared minus 2x minus 6. There are 2 points on the curve C at which the gradient of the curve is 2. Find the x coordinate of each of these 2 points. Show clear algebraic working. Again, it's making sure you don't just use your calculator. The key to calculus, the whole of calculus, the key is that the derivative, which is this, is the gradient. So when he says, where is the gradient to, you say, well, the gradient, which is this, the derivative, equals 2. Then I can go 15x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. And at this point you can factorize, or you can factorize, or you can use the quadratic formula. It's a very tricky one to factorize. I often use the calculator, guys, just to help me. If I don't know how to factorize, I go to menu, go to equation, go to polynomial, degree 2, and then I do 15 here. 15, -2, -8 press enter, and it gives me 4 over 5 and minus 2 over 3. Now, that means if x, so let me just show you how I kind of work back here, guys. 4 over 5, so that means x equals 4 over 5, and x, so these are the answers. Let me just show you this. The answer is x equals 4 over 5, and x, so there's two points, so x is 4 over 5, and x equals negative 2 over 3. That's my x1 and my x2. Those are my two answers, but I have to get all the marks, show the factors, or at least the quadratic formula. The factors are, if x is 4 over 5, then what I do is I find out what equals 0. So I do 5x multiplied by 5, 5x equals 4, and 5x minus 4 equals 0. That means this is a factor. 5x minus 4 is a factor. And similarly here, I do 3x plus 2. 3x plus 2 equals 0. Now there's lots of ways to factorize, guys, and do it however you wish. But if you get really stuck, remember your calculator will give you the solutions, which aren't actually the factors, and then you can kind of work backwards. And then you just check if you're right. Well, this times this is 15x squared, yes. Plus 10x minus 12x gives me the minus 2, good. And the minus 4 times 2 is minus 8. So that's correct. So those are my two answers, and I've got all the working. And it's 6 marks, which is not bad. Okay, expand this, right? Obviously, this is a bit annoying. We'll do the first two first. 4x plus 1. 4x plus 1 times x minus 3. Now, we just do this times this, and this times this, this times this, and this times this. Firstly, 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 3 is minus 12x. 1 times x is plus x. 1 times negative 3 is minus 3. Equals 4x squared minus 11x minus 3. That's the first two multiplied out. Then I get this 4x squared minus 11x minus 3, and I multiply it by 5x plus 6. Now I have to do this times this, this times this, then also this times this, this times this, and finally this times this, and this times this. So let's do it. 4x squared times 5x is 20x cubed. 4 times 5 is 20. X squared times x is x cubed. Plus 24x squared. That's my 6 times 4x squared. Then minus 55 minus 55x. Then so minus 55x squared, right? Because this times this is x squared. Then minus 66x. Then, and I'm running out of space, let's just move this. Let's make it a bit smaller. Then I have my minus 3 times minus 5x, which is minus 15x. And finally, minus 3 times 8 is minus 18, right? Obviously, guys, there's a lot of things going on there, but just take your time and do each one separately. First times the first, first times the second, second times the first, second times the second, third times the first, third times the second. And then simplify. 20x cubed, that's the only cubic term. 24x squared minus 55x squared is minus 31x squared. Minus 66x minus 15x is minus 81x and minus 18. And that's the answer. And we could put it down there, but that's not. Okay, question 15. This is worth 4 marks. Prove that the tangent, prove question, these are always hard. Prove that the tangent A, BC is parallel to EF. Give a reason for each stage of your working. Okay. How can we tell if it's parallel? Well, let's think of angles in parallel lines. So when we have two angles or two parallel lines, if we recall our angles in parallel lines, we had a few things going on. We said that these two angles were equal. They were alternate angles. And we also said this one, well, let's do a different one. We also said this one and this one were equal because these are corresponding angles. And the blue and the red add up to 180. So I need to kind of identify one of these. And the question is, which one will I go with? Well, the only angle I have down on this line is 70. So why don't we look at this one? If this one is 70, this is now just like my red angle here. Look, it's my Z. I have a Z here. Those two red angles are equal, and I have a similar Z here, and these two red angles are equal. So if I can show that this angle here is 70 degrees, I have proven that they're parallel. Okay, let's try and do that. So what angles can I figure out? Right, so this guy is 40. Fair enough. This guy is 40. Now, there's something called the alternate segment theorem, right? The alternate segment theorem, guys, states that this here has to be 70 degrees. Now, because it's a proof, we have to say what we're doing. So give a reasons for each stage of your working. So firstly, guys, if you don't know what the alternate segment theorem is, check it out. But it's this. It says that this angle here has to equal this angle here. So I'm going to say angle BDF equals 70 degrees because alternate segment theorem. Fine. Then well, I can actually go straight now to this red angle has to be well, it has to be 70 because these two, okay, this angle here, the big one, and this angle here have to add up to 180 because of a cyclic quadrilateral. So the opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. Okay, so let's write that down. Angle EFB plus angle EDB equals 180 as they are, this is obviously annoying to write all this, guys, but it's a proof. They are opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral. Therefore, 110 plus, because this green angle is 110, because 70 plus 40 is 110, 110 plus angle, sorry, that should have been B, guys, sorry, that's a B. Oh, sorry, that's an F. It's EFB. It's this one here. Oh no, hang on. What am I doing? This is EFB. So EFB and what's going on with my circle? It's weird. Sorry, EFB plus EDB equals 180. Yeah, sorry, I was right. So 110 plus, or, oh yeah, that's what confused me, guys. I should have said, therefore, angle EFB plus 110 equals 180. EFB has to equal 70. Okay, then finally I'm going to say as angle EFB equals angle FBC, that's these two red angles that I talked about originally. These are alternate angles, which means ABC is parallel to EF. Okay, so yeah, do you need to write all that? Pretty much you do, guys. Now hopefully you understand it, that you've shown, the goal is to show these two angles are equal. That will then show us that they are alternate angles, hence these lines are parallel. This line and this line are parallel. The way I did it is, I said alternate segment theorem, this is 70. This plus this is 110, which means this has to be 70 because of opposite angles in cyclic quadrilateral, and now I know they're the same, hence proved, right? Okay, question 16. Functions. We have the functions f and g. Write down the value of x that must be excluded from any domain of g. Okay, basically, guys, the question is, what can x not be? What if I put in a value of x there that you would get essentially maths error on your calculator? Well, the answer is -4, because you get the maths error when you divide by 0. And how can you divide by 0? Well, if x was -4, you would divide by 0. So it's when the denominator, x plus 4, equals 0. That's how you find out what x cannot be or what x must be excluded. So then I just rearrange x equals -4. Okay, find g f of 2.6. Okay, firstly, f of 2.6 is 5 times 2.6 minus 7. I can do that on my calculator. 5 times 2.6, 5. Hang on. This one, 5 times 2.6 is 13. Maybe I should have known that. 13 minus 7 equals 6. Okay, that's 6. No, that's not 6. F of 2.6 is 6. But I need to get g of f of 2.6. So I need to now get g of 6. G of 6 is 5 times 6. I'm just going to sub 6 into g. So it's 5 times 6 on the numerator and 6 plus 4 in the denominator, giving me 30 over 10, which is equal to 3. Okay, solve f g of x equals 2. Okay, so this is worth 3 marks, guys. Firstly, what is f g of x? So f g of x, I am going to put g of x into f of x. So instead of 5x, I do 5 this. So it's 5 times g minus 7. So to be clear, what have I done? F of x is 5 times x minus 7, which means f of 10 is 5 times 10 minus 7. F of 2 is 5 times 2 minus 7. F of g is 5 times g this minus 7. Hence, 5 times this minus 7. Okay, simplify this into 5 times 5x is 25x over x plus 4. 25x over x plus 4 minus 7. Now, he says solve this equals 2. So I'm going to do 25x. Surprised it didn't give me more space here, but 25x over x plus 4 minus 7 equals 2. Then add the 7 to both sides. 2 plus 7 is 9. Then multiply across. So guys, I'm actually going to move this here because I'm going to run out of space. Multiply across by x plus 4. So now I get 25x equals 9 times x plus 4. 25x equals 9x plus 36. 9 times x, 9 times 4. Subtract the 9. 25x minus 9x is 16x. 16x equals 36. 36. And then x is 36 divided by 16. Let me make sure I'm right. 36 divided by 16, which is 2.25. So x is equal to 2.25. Okay. Finally, express the inverse g minus 1 in the form g minus 1 of x. Okay. So g of x is 5x over x plus 4. I'm going to say let y equal 5x over x plus 4. Now, what we do is, because we're trying to find the inverse function, and the inverse function is essentially swapping the domain and the range, so we're going to swap x and y. So I'm just going to write here swap x and y. And you get a mark for this. So x equals 5y over y plus 4. Then I'm going to rearrange for y. So I'm going to multiply. Again, guys, when you have a denominator that you don't like, multiply across by that denominator. So I'm going to have x times y plus 4 equals 5y. Multiply out the bracket. Xy plus 4x equals 5y. Get all my y's to one side. So I have xy minus 5y. I've subtracted this 5y equals negative 4x. I'm subtracting the 4x. Then factorize. This is arguably the tricky bit. Take out the y, and I'm left with x minus 5 equals minus 4x. And then finally, y is equal to minus 4x over x minus 5. And that's the answer. I can write it here. The mark scheme actually has 4x over 5 minus x. You can do that because these are the exact same. You just multiply above and below by -1, and you essentially get, you essentially change the signs of everything. So that becomes plus, that becomes minus, that becomes plus. It's the exact same answer, but it looks a bit nicer because you don't have a negative in the numerator. That's the only reason he's done that. So g minus 1 of x is 4x over 5 minus x. But yeah, that's full marks. Okay, done. That was a difficult question, and it was worth 9 marks. Okay, that explains it. Definitely they should have given me more space, I think, for this one though. Okay, question 17. Okay, we have this diagram here, and it's actually a prism. It's a trapezium prism or trapezoidal prism where the cross section is this trapezium. Anyway, we're given all this information. It says work out the size of the angle between CF, okay, CF, and the base EFGH. So what he wants is actually this angle here. Now I'm just going to continue that triangle to here, and he wants that angle there. Let's call it theta. Now at the side, I'm actually going to draw that triangle again, because I like to have my drawings in 2D, because this is in 3D, so it's hard to get your head around what's going on. And actually, while this is theta, this here is a right angle. It's a right angle because this is drawn in 3D. So that is a right angle. Okay, I have this length 10. So this is C, H, F. I have 10, but I need another length. This is F. I need another length. Now the length I can find is actually this length, FH, because I can use the square at the bottom in Pythagoras' theorem to find FH. So let's draw this square. Okay, there's a square. Nice. This square is FGHE. This length is 12. This length is 12. And we're trying to find the length FH. Let's call it X. And then this is X, because this FH here is the same as this FH here. We can find it using Pythagoras' theorem. So I can do x squared equals 12 squared plus 12 squared. X squared equals 12 squared plus 12 squared is 288. X is therefore the square root of 288. And I'll leave it like that. And I'll write here 288. Therefore, I can say the cosine of theta, I'm going to do tan, because I have the opposite and adjacent. So the square root, that's important, of 288. So the tan of theta is 10 over root 288. Therefore, theta is the inverse tan of this. Inverse tan of 10 over root 288. And the answer, well, I'm definitely going to use my calculator. It's the inverse tan. So I do shift tan. I'll do this, and it's 10 over the square root of 288, close brackets, enter, and it's 30.508. So theta equals 30.508. He wants it to one decimal place, which is just 30.5 degrees. Okay, then he says work out the length of BE. Right, this is 3 marks. Give your answer to one decimal place. Okay, BE. So guys, I'm just coming back up here because I've no space. But okay, B, the length of B to E. Okay, right. This is going to be difficult to draw, but let's try. So here's, imagine this triangle here. I'm going to go from B to E. Is that what he said he wanted? B, E. Okay, B to E. And then I'm going to go back to there. And then I'm going to go up to here. Okay, now this is a right angle there. That is a right angle triangle, like so. So I'm going to draw it. Let's just draw it here for now, and I'll move it down. Okay. I am trying to find, let's make it a little bit shorter like this. Really doesn't matter, but so this is B, this is G, and this is E. Now, we know the length GE because it's the same as FH. Because the bottom is a square, from F to H is the same as from E to G. Remember, this is drawn in 3D. So that length is root 288. We are trying to find BE. Let's call it Y, not X, because I've already used X, so we'll choose Y. Again, in order to find this, I need another side, and I think I'm going to find this side. Okay, how do I find this side? Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to draw another triangle. So, look at this one. Here's a triangle, and I appreciate, guys, that this is a very challenging question. So, here's a green triangle. It is the triangle B. B something C. So I need a new point there. Let's just call it, guys, for now, I'm going to just call it P for point. So here's a new point. So this is P, this is B, and this is C. This is 15 because we know it's 15. And this length here is 12 because of the, well, because it's the same as this length here. It's the same as the square base. So that's 12. This, I don't have this length here. I can find it, however, again, using Pythagoras' theorem. And what I'm going to do is, once I find PB, right, so let me add in this point P here. So, just because I know this is confusing, guys, from G to P is 10, because look, this length is 10, so this length is 10. So from G to P is 10, but I need to find the rest of this PB. So once I find PB here, I can then find Y here. So yeah, pretty horrible question. And I'm gonna now move all this down, guys, because now I have all the information here. I need to find PB. So let's find this. Let's call it, let's just call it D for distance. Remember, it doesn't matter what I call it. So Pythagoras' theorem, D squared plus 12 squared equals 15 squared. D squared equals 15 squared minus 12 squared. And then D is the square root of 15 squared minus 12 squared. I can do this on my calculator, although I think I already know the answer, but whatever, let's do the calculator. 15 squared minus 12 squared is 9. That's a special triangle. So D is equal to 9. So now I have 9 here. So this distance just from P to B is 9. So I have 9 and 10. So this is 19. So now I can say Y squared equals 19 squared plus root 288 squared. This is Pythagoras' theorem. Y is equal to the square root of 19 squared plus square root of 288 squared. Now, yes, guys, the square root of 288 squared is just 288, so you could have just written that down, but I'm just going to write it all down just so everyone's clear on what's happening. Okay, now, finally, I do the square root of, hopefully this is right, 19 squared plus root, so I'm doing a root in a root 288 squared. I can put the squared in the root or outside, it doesn't actually matter. And that gives me 649.25 point, well, to one decimal place, 5. So I'm just going to put down 25.5 centimeters. Okay, question 18. In an arithmetic series, the 6th term is 39 and the 19th term is 7.8. Work out the sum of the first 25 terms. Okay, so guys, we have a formula in the formula booklet for the sum of n terms. It is, well, it's the very first formula here. N over 2, 2a plus n minus 1d. So that is the formula that I'm going to use. It is n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1d, where a is the first term, d is the common difference, and d is the common difference, and n is the number of terms. So n will be 25. My problem is I don't actually know the first term, and I don't know the common difference. So how do we do it? Okay, there's another formula. It's for the nth term. This one is not in the formula booklet, but I strongly recommend you learn it. The nth term, un, is a is the first term plus n minus 1d. So the first term plus this many d's will get you to the nth term. So learn this formula. Okay, now I know the sixth term is 39. So u6 is 39. Let's just write this over here. u6 is 39 and u19 is 7.8. So I'm actually going to make two equations here. I'm going to say when n equals 1, when n equals 6, a plus 6 minus 1 d equals 39. And I'm going to say when n is 19, a plus 19 minus 1 d equals 7.8. So what I've done is I've subbed 6 in for n and made it equal to 39, and I've subbed 19 in for n and made it equal to 7.8. Then I can simplify this equation a little bit. 6 minus 1 is 5, and 19 minus 1 is 18. D equals 7.8. Now I have two equations that I can solve simultaneously. So I'll get this guy here. Well, let's just do a plus 5d equals 39, and underneath it, a plus 18d equals 7.8. Now, just like we solved simultaneous equations earlier, I'm going to subtract them. Well, I think the last ones we added them, but I'm going to subtract them because the signs are the same, and that will get rid of my a. So my a's are now gone. 0, if you like. But I just don't put anything. I'm now going to subtract these. 5 minus 18 is negative 13. So negative 13d equals 39 minus 7.8 is 31.2. I can do that in my head, but obviously use your calculator. Then d is equal to 31.2 over negative 13, which is 31.2 divided by negative 13. Negative 12 over 5 are negative 2.4. Okay, negative 2.4. Once I have d, I can get a from subbing back into either of the two equations. I'm going to pick the first one. So a plus 5d equals 39. A plus 5 times negative 2.4. Negative 2.4 equals 39. A minus 5 times 2.4 is actually equal to 12. So it's 5 minus 12. Again, use your calculator. 39. A is equal to 39 plus 12, which is 51. Okay, now I have, and obviously guys, this is a hard question as well, but now I have the first term, and I have the common difference, minus 2.4. So I can use this formula. I can say S of n is equal to n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 d. I am trying to find this sum of the first 25 terms. So n is equal to 25, a is equal to 51 because it's here, and d is equal to negative 2.4. I just sub these in, 25 over 2, 2a, 2 times 51, plus 25 minus 1 times d, close bracket. Now be careful guys, there's lots of brackets there and they're all important. I can just kind of simplify this out a bit if I want. 25 over 2 brackets, 2 times 51 is 102, plus 24 times minus 2.4. And at this point, I think I'll just use my calculator. So I do 25 over 2 times brackets 102 plus 24 times, again you can put in, you don't need that bracket but I'll put it in, minus 2.4, but you do need this bracket, close that one, and you get 555, which is correct. So this is 555. Okay, tricky question guys. Question 18. Next one, question 19. We have a rectangle with another rectangle cut out to form a shaded region. AD is this, right? So this is a upper and lower bound question, guys. These have all been rounded. It says work out the upper bound of the area of the shaded region. Okay, so if we want to get the upper bound of the shaded region, essentially we want the big rectangle to be big and the small rectangle to be small. And what I mean by that is we want the maximum possible, or the upper bound of the big rectangle and the lower bound of the small rectangle. So what I do is I get my 8.3. Now we're going to do all of these separately. So let's do our 8.3. He has a line. I have my 7.2. He gets a number line. I have my 6.2. He gets a number line. And 5.3. He gets a number line. Now, this guy is 8.3. Because they're all rounded to one decimal place, all I have to do is go up 1.1 in all of them. So I'm going to go up to 8.4, up to 7.3, up to 6.3, 5.4, and I'm also going to put in the lower bound, guys, just to show you how to do it, even though I don't need all of these for all of them. So this is 7.1, this is 6.1, and this is 5.2. Okay, so I want the upper bound. I'm going to do the upper bound, I'll call it UB, for AD, right? So this one I want upper bound because I want to make the outside rectangle as big as possible. So AD is the upper bound, and that's this one. This is AD. AD, I want the upper bound. DC is the 7.2. This is also upper bound because he is the outer rectangle, the big rectangle. So this guy, upper bound. 6.2, that's my EH. So this is actually a lower bound I want for this one. And similarly, HG will be a lower bound. So this is EH and HG. And these two are lower bounds, lower bound. Okay, now let's just find the upper bounds and the lower bounds. So this guy's upper bound has to be 8.35. It's halfway between these two. This guy's upper bound is 7.25. Similar thing. This guy's lower bound is halfway between this guy and this guy, 6.15. And this guy's lower bound is 5.25. Okay, now I just need to find the upper bound of the area showing you're working, right? So the upper bound will be this times this to give me the big rectangle minus this times this, and that's it, because I'm subtracting the smaller rectangle, which I wanted to make small. So I do 8.35 times 7.25. That's the area of the outer rectangle, minus 6.15 times 5.25. And this equals 8.35 times 7.25 minus 6.15 times 5.25, 113 over 4, or 28.25. So this is 28.25. Okay. Yes, guys, you could probably do that quicker, like without drawing out all those lines, but I wanted to obviously make very clear that you know how to do it. I do actually always recommend drawing out these lines because they're confusing questions, and often you make a mistake about whether to get the upper or lower bound. Okay, question 20. A curve has equation. There is one maximum point in the curve. The coordinates of this maximum point are -3 and 4. Write down the coordinates of the maximum point on the curve with equation this. Right, so guys, he is testing your knowledge of transformations. If we subtract 6 from f of x, what happens is the y coordinate goes down by 6. I'm just going to write that. Subtract 6 from y coordinate, or coordinates. There's only one I care about. So I'm going to, the x coordinate stays the same, still -3. And I do 4 minus 6 is -2 to get the y coordinate. So it's -3 minus 2. If I now have to transform it like this, this is a horizontal stretch of scale factor 1/2. What we do is we multiply the x coordinates. Multiply the x coordinates by 1/2. So just be very careful. It's not by 2, it's by 1/2. So -3 times 1/2 is equal to minus 1.5. So this is minus 1.5 and this is 4. Okay, that's it. Only 2 marks. Question 21, right? This looks hard and it's 5 marks. My word, right? Given that m is equal to this, find the values of n for which m is equal to 2, right? This is obviously, guys, a horrendous looking question. I've actually never seen anything like it in any of the past papers before, but that's what they do. They try to come up with new questions that you've never seen, so we need to figure it out. So the first thing is we need to solve this for when m equals 2. So basically we're going to make m equal to 2. Now at the same time, I am going to split this up. So the only way I can't add these powers or multiply the bases or anything like that because the powers are not the same or the bases are not the same. So I need to, the only way I can use like my rules of indices where I add the powers is when I get the bases the same. Now the bases are not the same. I have a 2 and a 3 and an 18. So the only way I can make some of them the same is by breaking up this 18 into factors. So I can say 18 to the power of 4m is the same as, I'm actually going to make it into its prime factors. And on this calculator, guys, 18 is actually an easy one, but you can do 18 18 equals, and then you do fact, and it gives you the prime factors. So it's actually 2 times 3 squared. Okay, so I'm going to turn 18 into 2 times 3 times 3. That's all I've done. Why am I doing it? Because I want to get 2s and 3s, so I can combine the factors and basically add the powers. So I've just turned 18 into 2 times 3 times 3. I think everyone will agree that that's correct. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18. And this is all to the power of 4n, 18 to the power of 4n. This guy is already as a 2, so that's fine, let's leave it. 2 to the power of 3 times n squared minus 6n. And this guy's already as a 3, so he's fine too. 1 minus 4n. And I want to find where this divided by 12 is equal to 2. So whereas all of this divided by 12, now I'm also, guys, going to do the 12. I'm going to turn him into his prime factor. So 12 is actually 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. This squared. And I want to find what is n when all of this equals 2. Okay, now that's the first step. Next step, I'm going to break this up. So instead of 2 times 3 times 3 to the 4 to the n, I'm going to write that as 2 to the power of 4n times 3 to the power of 4n times 3 to the power of 4n. I can do that because if you want to think of it as a simple example, like 2 times 3 to the power of 2 times 3 squared, which is 6 squared, which is 36. That is the same as 2 squared times 3 squared, which is 4 times 9, which is 36. So I'm allowed to do that. Or perhaps a better way of thinking about it would have been AB squared is equal to A squared, B squared. Okay, anyway, I can do that. Then I'm going to do times 2 to the power of 3 times n squared minus 6n times 3 to the power of 2, 1 minus 4n. That is fine. And that is going to equal, now I'm going to do another crazy thing. I'm going to multiply both sides by this. So now I have 2 times. And in the one step, I'm going to, instead of writing this squared, similarly to what I did here, I'm going to write it as 2 squared times 2 squared times 3 squared. So this here is 2 squared times 2 squared times 3 squared, and I've multiplied across, so it's over here. Okay, now, the reason I've done this is because now I can join the 2's and I can join the 3's. So let's do the 2's first. If I join the 2's, I get 2 to the power of 4n plus, I'm going to add these, so 4n plus 3n squared minus 6n. So I'm just looking at the 2's, I'm adding the powers, because that's my first rule of indices, is a to the power of m times a to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m plus n. I'm adding the powers, fine. So I've added this plus this. I'm also going to add the powers of the 3's. So this is 3 to the power of 4n plus 4n plus this, 2 times 1 minus 4n. I'm going to do the same over here. This is equal to 2 to the power of, that's a 1 if you like. 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5. and then it's just 3 squared on its own there. Okay, then I'm going to say 2 to the power of 4n. I'm going to multiply this out, plus 3n squared minus 18n, that's just multiplying out the bracket, times 3 to the power of 4n plus 4n is 8n, multiply out the brackets, plus 2 minus 8n equals 2 to the power of 5 times 3 squared. Now, nearly there, kind of. This is 2 to the power of 3n squared minus 14n, because 4n minus 18n is minus 14n, times, this is the first time I see some light, this 8n minus 8n is 0. So this is actually just 3 squared, which is nice, because this is 3 squared. So this times this equals 2 to the 5 times 3 squared. Now look, 2 to the power of this times 3 squared equals 2 to the power of 5 times 3 squared. That tells me that the only way this equation can be equal is if this 3n squared minus 4n, this here has to equal this. It's the only way they can be equal. The equation can make sense. Because then I would have 2 to the 5 times 3 squared equals 2 to the 5 times 3 squared. Okay, so this has to equal 5. Now that is the hard part done, because now we have a quadratic equation that is not necessarily simple, but we've done these before. This was quite new and challenging, right? So now I just have to solve this quadratic. I'm going to factorize it. You can use the formula if you don't like factorizing it. 3n squared minus 4n minus 5 equals 0. 3n and n are the factors of 3n squared. 5 and 1. 5, if I put a 5 here and a 1 here, that won't work. If I put a 5 here and a 1 here, that won't work. So hang on, this doesn't actually factorize. Let me just check I'm right. Okay, let's try and solve it using the calculator. Okay, hang on, I have made a mistake. Sorry, it's 14n. I knew I'd done something wrong. Sorry guys, I did not want to have to do all that again. Okay, it's 14n, not 4n. Okay, so 3n and n. Now the 5 and the 1 works nicely. 5 and 1 minus 15 plus 1, because I'll be multiplying across. So my factors are 3n plus 1 times n minus 5. This equals 0. Multiply it out to check if you want. 3n squared minus 15n plus n gives me the minus 14n minus 5. 3n plus 1 equals 0. 3n equals negative 1. N is equal to negative a third, or n equals 5. So those are my two answers. So just find the values, because there is two answers, the values of n for which m equals 2. Answer is n equals negative a third or 5. Okay, question 21 done. Question 22. The diagram shows a regular octagon, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, sides 10, and it says calculate the area of the shaded region. Now guys, this is, they've given us 2 pages and it's 6 marks. It is obviously a really hard question. Okay, this is how we do it. We need to split the shape, the shaded shape, into a rectangle and a triangle. Now, one of the keys to solving this is recognizing that we only have the length 10, so I don't even know this length, and I don't even know the height of this triangle, so I need some angles. I don't have any angles, so that was the first thing I thought about when I was doing this question, is this is a regular octagon, and I know that in a regular octagon, if I do 360 divided by the number of sides, which is 8, which gives me 45, this is the exterior angle. That gives me this angle here. This angle. That's my exterior angle. So this angle here is 45 degrees. Now, I'm going to draw a line straight down here because I'm going to need the perpendicular height of the triangle. So this I'm going to call H. Now, because this is perpendicular to this angle here is also 45 degrees. That's the same. That is 45 degrees also. Because 45 plus 45 gives me 90. I know this length here is 10 because all these lengths are 10. 10, 10, 10, all the way around. Okay, but now I can find H because I can use SOHCAHTOA on this triangle. Now guys, I'm going to do all my working up here so we can talk about and look at the diagram. You obviously use the full 2 pages. So to find H, I'm going to say cos 45 is equal to adjacent, which is H, over hypotenuse, which is 10. Hence, H is equal to 10 cos 45 degrees, which is equal to cos 45 is 1 over root 2. Definitely use your calculator for that, guys. So it's 10 over root 2. Or a nicer way to put that, actually, in fact, do use your calculator because it'll simplify it for you. But if you do 10 times cos 45, you'll get 5 root 2. Okay, so the H is 5 root 2. So now I have this length here. What I don't have is the blue length. And if I can find the blue length, I've found everything, because I can just do half base times height for this triangle, and I can just do base times height or length times width to get the rectangle. So I just need to now find the blue height. I can find this value here, just from there, from here to here. I'll call it X. I can find that similarly to the way I found H, but using sine. So I can say sine 45 is equal to the sine of this opposite X over hypotenuse, which is 10. So X is equal to 10 sine 45, which is, believe it or not, the same thing. 10 sine 45. Hang on. X is equal to 10 sine 45, which is 5 root 2. Kind of makes sense that they're the same because that's 45 degrees. It's actually an isosceles triangle. So this X is 5 root 2. Now I just need to find this, the rest of the blue line, which would be this orange line, and I'll call it Y. Okay, how am I going to find that? Well, right, this, guys, is challenging. So because this, if this is 45, if this angle here is 45, then this angle here, the interior angle, has to be 135. That is because the 135 plus the exterior angle here, or here if you want, but whatever, this exterior angle has to add up to 180 because it's a straight line. So if that's 45, that's 135. Now, if that's 135, this angle here, is 22.5. So this angle here is 22.5. Now, why is that? Well, it's because both of these, 22.5, this is an isosceles triangle, 10 and 10. So these two angles have to be the same. And the three angles have to add up to 180 because it's a triangle. 22.5 plus 22.5 is 45 plus 135 gives me 180. Okay, now once we're okay with that being 22.5, we can move on to this angle here, the pink angle being, and again guys, I'm well aware that there's a lot of information here, but this pink angle is equal to 90 minus 22.5. 90 minus 22.5 is 67.5. So this is 67.5, this pink angle here. Okay, now let me just draw a new triangle, guys, because this is getting crazy. Here's a triangle. This is this one. It is A, C, and then whatever this point is here, let's just call it P. P for point again. So this is P, this is a right angle. Now this angle here is 67.5, like we said. This H is 5 root 2. We know it's 5 root 2 from here. And this AP is the thing we're trying to find, which is Y. And here I'm going to use tan because I want the opposite and I have the adjacent. So I'm going to say tan of 67.5, tan of the angle, is opposite over adjacent. Multiply across gives me Y equals 5 root 2 times tan 67.5. 5 root 2, it's already there, times 67.5 gives me 477.297. 477.297. Okay, now guys, I am nearly there. So if this is that number does seem a little bit, hang on, what have I done? That number seems crazy. So whenever you get an answer, always think, does this make sense? This definitely doesn't make sense because I forgot the tan. It's 5 root 2. Let's do that again. 5 root 2 times tan of 67.5, which is 17.07. So let me get rid of this. 17.07. Okay, so now I have the blue length. The blue length, AD, so AD is equal to x plus y, that's right, x plus y, which is 5 root 2 plus 17.07, which is 5 root 2 plus 17.07 is 24.14. So this is 24.14. That's the length of this. Therefore, the area, I'm going to do area of the triangle. So the area of the triangle is equal to the base, sorry, half the base, a half, well, it's a half base times height. So a half base times height equals a half. The base of the triangle is this 24.14. So it's a half times 24.14. Sorry, 24.14 That's the base, because look, this is the triangle. So the full blue line is the base, and h is the green line, which is the height of the triangle, which is 5 root 2. So it's this times 5 root 2, which is, calculator please, so this times a half, oh, let's do it again, a half, 0.5, times 24.14 times 5 root 2 gives me 85.34, let's say 85.35, rounded up 2 decimal places. And then the area of the rectangle, area of rect, is equal to the base times the height of the rectangle. So that's 24.14 times 10, because if you remember, it's length times width for area of a rectangle, and the width is 10. So it's just this times 10, which is 241.4, which means the total area is equal to 241.4 plus 85.35, which gives me that plus 241.4, which is 326.7, but he actually says give your answer to the nearest centimeter squared, which is the nearest whole number, so it's 327. Okay, obviously guys, yeah, another really hard question. 327, 6 marks. Finally, the final question, question 23. In a bag, there are only, hopefully this will be easier than the last 2 questions. In a bag, there are only 3 blue beads, 4 white beads, and X orange beads. Jean is going to take a random 2 beads from the bag. The probability that she takes 2 beads of the same color is 3/8. Find the total number of beads in the bag. Show your algebraic working. Okay. So we need to do the probability of 2 blues, the probability of 2 whites, and the probability of 2 oranges. That's the way you get to the same color. The total in the bag is 3 plus 4 plus x, which is 7 plus x. Okay, so 2 blues, the probability of 2 blues is 1 blue, 3 out of 7 plus x. So there's 3 blues, and in total there's 7 plus x. Let me just move this up. So 3 over 7 plus x times, now there is only 2 blues because I've taken 1 out, and now there's only 6 plus x because I've taken 1 out of the total. So that's, I can multiply this. Top times the top is 6, bottom times the bottom is, well, 7 plus x times 6 plus x. Okay, that's 2 blues. 4 whites, sorry, 2 whites, because she's gonna take 2 beads, and we want to find the probability they're the same color. Okay, 2 whites, same kind of situation, except this time there's 4. So I do 4 out of 7 plus x. 4 out of, guys, I'm just gonna change the way I'm dealing this because it's, or writing this because it's a little bit, it's taking up my space. I'm just gonna say this is blue. So over here, I'll do blue, I'll do white, and then I'll do orange after. Okay, so it's 4 out of 7 plus x times, now if I've taken a white, there's only 3 whites, so it's 3, and the same thing out of 6 plus x. Multiply these, and I get 12 out of 7 plus x times 6 plus x. And then finally, 2 oranges, so orange, 2 oranges. There's x oranges, so it's x out of 7 plus x. And there's, if I take an orange, there's now x minus 1 oranges left. And this is again out of 6 plus x. Again, this, guys, is turning out to be another hard question. This was a pretty difficult paper. X times x minus 1 is x, well, x times x minus 1 like this. And the denominator is the same. Okay, now it says that the probability that she will take 2 beads of the same color. So it could be blue or white or red, or sorry, or orange. So I need to add these up to get the probability, which is 3 over 8. So I'm actually going to add this plus this plus this. Now, because the denominators are the same, I can just add the numerators. So it's actually 6 plus 12 plus x times x minus 1 all over the common denominator, which is 7 plus x times 6 plus x equals 3 over 8, because he says it. He says it here. This is equal to 3 over 8. 3 over 8. And basically, we need to find x, and then the total will be 7 plus x. So how do we find x? Well, we have to solve a pretty challenging quadratic. So let's do it. I need to do 6 plus 12 is 18, plus, multiply this out, x squared minus x over 7 plus x times 6 plus x equals 3 over 8. Cross multiply, so 8 times this, so 8 times 18, what is 8 times 18? Is 80 plus 64, 144. 144 plus 8x squared minus 8x equals 3 times this, 3 times, I'm actually going to multiply this out, guys. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 7x plus 6x is plus 13x plus x squared. 144 plus 8x squared minus 8x equals, multiply this out, this is 126 plus 39x plus 3x squared. I wish he'd give me more space for this question. Okay, bring everything to the left. So 8x squared minus 3x squared is 5x squared. Minus 8x minus 39x is minus 47x. And 144 minus 126 is 18. So that's a minus 18 equals 0. Okay, I'm just trying to think, is there going to be a nice number that will multiply here? 5 times 2 would work, but this is, oh yeah, actually, that's perfect. That was a mistake. That should have been plus, which means I can factorize this into 5x and x. 18 is 9 and 2. 5x minus 2 times x minus 9. Therefore, and guys, I'll just work over here. Therefore, 5x minus 2 equals 0, which means x is 2 divided by 5. That's no good because x is a number of beads, so x can't be 2 over 5. Or x minus 9 equals 0, x equals 9. Therefore, x equals 9. Therefore, the number of balls in the box, therefore 9 plus 7, because remember in the number of beads in the bag, sorry, it was going to be 3 plus 4 plus 9, which is 16. 9 plus 7 beads answer 16. Okay, sorry guys, that was another hard question, and yes, I did go through this fairly quickly, but slow it down obviously if you need to. It's another very challenging question. So overall, look, the paper was, I thought it was okay up until the last 3 questions, and then those last 3, if not 4 questions, were very, very hard. Okay, that's it guys. Hope that was useful. Let me know in the comments if it was useful or if there's anything I could add. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.